the market's done well, the past 4 years as well. Like the Dow Jones has gone from 33,000 to 42,000 under President Biden. So it's done well the last 4 years. But again, what really drives the market is liquidity from the Federal Reserve. So you want to watch what the Federal Reserve does. So they've talked about lowering interest rates. Well, what does that do? Well, that lowers the cost of capital for businesses. That's very, very, very important and very good for economic growth. So going forward, I think the opportunity now to start a new business or to raise capital or to grow your business over the next 3 or 4 years is fantastic. It's phenomenal. Why? You've got an accommodating Fed. You've got new management coming into the White House that's very pro-business. Granted, he's not a politician. I get that. He's not an attorney by trade. Okay, like most politicians, nothing wrong with that. But he's a businessman. He gets it. He knows what it takes to make money.
Hello and welcome to the Smart Business Owner Podcast with your host, Shubert. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Smart Business Owner Podcast with your host, Shubert, where every week we come back and I'm bringing you some of the exciting news when it comes to business and how to level up your business. So today we have with us none other than Bill Baumner. And Bill is managing partner for an investment company. So I'll let Bill do the introduction. Bill, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background, what you are doing with investment. I'm a VIP Investment LLC and VIP meeting. So tell us about your background and all the great things you are doing.
Oh, thank you, Shubert. And so Bill Baumner, and I have a company called VIP Meetings, which puts on meetings throughout North America for companies that are private as well as public that are looking to get their word out in terms of increasing their market cap. If they're public and if they're private, they're looking for probably investors or they're looking for strategic relationships. And that's what we try to provide the companies that we work with. Been doing this 32 years, started out as an analyst broker 32 years ago, and have been putting on meetings for companies since then, but been primarily helping companies increase their market cap and build their brand for the last 2 years. That's what we're focused on. And so I've got another company that I own with a partner of mine called the Accredited Investor Association, where people can actually go to our website and they can actually look at some of the research reports that we have written on companies that we believe are undervalued that have the potential to trade higher. And we've had some pretty good results over the years and look forward to increasing our subscribers around the world. So we are global now. We have about 130,000 people that follow us, and hopefully that will only grow with you, Shubert.
Yes, hopefully. Now, are you from Florida, Bill? I mean, I've known you for a while now, like 5-6 years, but can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and, the stuff that usually in business meeting we don't talk about?
Yeah, so I was born in Philadelphia, and
you're Philly boy.
Yeah, Philly boy. I bleed green. I'm a diehard Eagle fan, diehard Philly fan, diehard Flyer fan, and diehard Sixer fan.
There you go.
We moved from there to New England, spent some time growing up there, and I went to school, undergrad in Longview, Texas, at a school called LeTourneau University, and did a bachelor's degree in business with a minor's in marketing. And then I worked for a newspaper there called the Longview News Journal and Longview Daily News before transferring to the Miami Herald. And I went to grad school at St. Thomas University in Miami. I did a graduate degree and did a master's in sports administration. And then I went to Palm Beach Atlantic University here in West Palm and did my MBA there. And been working ever since I graduated from Palm Beach in the area of finance, and been trying to merge the two degrees together, but it's rather difficult. But there are some things that are very similar in both industries, both very, very competitive, as you know, Shubert.
Right.
Both are driven by very interesting people. And what I like to tell people is that, today our world is changing so quick.
It is.
Due to, technology, right?
Right.
And it's really important that people understand how to make their money grow and how to truly be smart with their money. So in 2008, 2009, we had the worst financial distressful situation in our history.
Right.
I shouldn't say in our history, but in our lifetime.
Right.
All right. And so the financial markets crashed, and every single market crashed. The Dow Jones dropped tremendously. I was a broker at the time. I lost a lot of clients. They were very nervous. Everybody cashed out of the market. I saw things that I couldn't understand that took place, and I wanted answers. So I went to some very, very smart people that were a lot smarter than me, and I asked them, I said, try to explain to me what's been going on.
Right.
And I met who at the time was the number one option trader in the world, who is now a world chess champion, and I asked him for his input and insight, and I took what he told me and expanded upon it, which brought me to the realization of writing a book called Smart Money, which is available on Amazon. Okay.
Nice. Look at that. I gotta get a
Published it
copy.
in 2012. And the purpose of the book is to try to explain to people how to be smart with their money. In other words, we all know that smart money is big money.
Right.
It's more than that. It's actually big money, and it's quiet money. So the first thing that I didn't understand about the markets was that every single market is manipulated and or controlled. Every single market. Doesn't matter whether we're talking sugar, soybean, gold, silver, oil, whatever.
Right.
Including the stock market. So how is the stock market influenced? Well, what drives the stock market? Well, analysts and brokers will tell you, it's earnings that really what drives the market higher. That is true. But what really drives the market higher and lower is what the Federal Reserve does. Why? Because they control liquidity, and liquidity is what drives the markets. Once people understand how the Federal Reserve works, that it is not a federal entity, that it is a quasi-governmental entity, and how it was funded, how it was founded, and how it operates today, people can understand how better to invest their own money. And so when I say smart money to people, I say, look at what the insiders are doing. If you see people like a Warren Buffett put in $600 million or $2 billion into Apple Computer, don't you think that maybe you should own a few shares?
Probably.
Yeah. So when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I don't know if I should be putting money into Apple today, can you pull up the research on Apple? You pull up the research. Well, Merrill Lynch has it rated a buy. Morgan Stanley has it rated a hold or a sell. Who are you supposed to believe?
Right.
What do you do?
It's got complete opposite information.
Yes, exactly. So, in 2000, let's see, 2000, 2015, Tesla was trading, 2017, Tesla was trading around 240, $50 a share. And Morgan Stanley came out and lowered the stock, not from a buy to a hold, but from a buy to a sell. And that stock that I owned for my clients at around 240, 250 a share dropped to $180 a share.
Wow.
Okay. And I got scared. I'm like, I can't believe this. I don't understand this. Why are they doing this? Well, you never understand why brokerage firms or analysts put out research the way they do, because it's not objective and 100% unobjective like it should be, because they all work for somebody that they've got a motive, right? They've got a reason why they want to rate a stock a buy or a sell, right?
The ratings.
So you would think that every analyst looks at the numbers. They all have the same numbers in Tesla or Apple. You'd think they'd all come up with the same opinion, but they don't. So why is that? Was Morgan Stanley trying to buy stock in the open market for their high net worth clients by trying to issue a sell rating, or issuing a sell rating and having all their brokers call their clients and say, hey, you got to sell. You got to sell, 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 sell. And what happens? The innocent investor who listens to that financial pornography, as I call it, lost money by selling. And where'd that stock go? It went from $180 to basically $2,000 pre-split, and now it's even higher, right? So,
wow.
That's why I wrote this book called Smart Money, to give people an understanding about how important it is to avoid financial pornography, avoiding unfortunately, it's the biased press. It's not just the financial media that is controlled. It's, as you know, it's the regular news media, right? And people understand that today.
Right.
Which is why social media is so important to get information from, right? So you can't just trust one media source or one brokerage firm to figure out where to put your money.
So you got to educate yourself. Now, the book, did you write the book in 2015? Is that when you wrote the book?
No, so I actually wrote the book. I started writing the book in 2010 and finished it and published it in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's available in all format, Kindle, hardcover, and paperback?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And basically what the book will show you how to do is to basically follow the insiders. What does that mean? Well, we tracked, and we still do, we track every single insider purchase that occurs in the U.S. every single day in the stock market. Now, billionaires will put money, in other things like real estate, commodities, precious metals. It's important to try to find that information. It's not easy, but you can find it through filings and, other news sources around the world. But the idea is that you want to put money where the CEO or the chairman or the CFO or the president of that company puts their own money. And it's even better if you can find out that they have bought and sold their stock profitably over the past year or two or three or four. And if they've been successful in the past, chances are they'll be successful in the future, because no one knows the company better than the management.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all in charge.
To an analyst, right?
Yeah.
So we all as financial advisors try to do the right thing for our clients, but we all have opinions. Everyone's got an opinion. Take that out of the equation and look to see who is buying the stock. That's the key. That's the key when it comes to stock market investing.
Well said. Now, obviously, your background is very rounded around, sports management, businesses. When it comes to the financial markets, how did you get specifically introduced to that realm? And also VIP investment. What led you to found, to put the company together and started the company?
So I have a company called VIP Meetings, as you mentioned. I also
Yes.
have a small family office called VIP Investments Limited, and we have investments in real estate and also in the stock market. And we manage that proactively, and we look for opportunities to buy and sell. We don't just buy and hold. I tell people the stock market is like a roller coaster. If you buy good, high quality companies that are growing, all right, the stock market is like a roller coaster. The only
Right.
time you get hurt is when you get off. Okay. So if if people owned Tesla through the ups and downs, everyone's happy today, right? Same with basically any company that no company goes straight up,
Right.
no company goes straight down. It's ups and downs, just like life. So
Right.
you just have to be patient and stay on course.
Now, when it comes to finance, did you always know that you wanted to work in finance? By the fact that you started in, you went to business management, then you went, you got your MBA. Did you why finance? Why not the law? Why not medicine? Why finance?
I'll tell you why. So that's a good question. So I wanted to be a professional athlete my entire life, and I had a chance to try out with the Phillies baseball in '83, and I didn't make it. I got cut, and I had a couple offers from some minor league teams, and chose to go back to college instead. So I said to myself, what is my end goal? My end goal is that I want to own a professional sports team someday. How am I going to get there? I said, all right, I'll go get my graduate degree in sports administration,
So
which I
you
did.
got to have a vehicle.
Yeah. And I thought, this is how I'll do it. Well, grad school was fairly costly, and the opportunities that I had in professional sports, I couldn't even pay my college monthly nut if I took a job that was offered in professional sports at an entry level position. And I was frustrated. I thought the pay would be a lot higher, but starting out pretty much like any profession, I presume, it's it's you got to start somewhere, and you got to start low and got to work your way up. But I couldn't do it at the time, so I just said to myself, I've got to figure out a way to make money and get myself in a position where I can, buy into a professional sports team. So I had a friend who was a broker and said, "Oh, this is what you should be looking at doing, becoming a financial advisor." So I did. Did that for 31 years. And I've been blessed to have been involved in some really interesting companies that have now helped me get on my feet. And I want to be in a position in a couple of years to be able to hopefully own my own professional sports team. You got to have a goal. You got to have a dream.
Yeah, 100%. Now, was that your first job out of college? Becoming a
No,
broker or a financial advisor?
no, my first job out of college, I actually was an emergency medical technician for the Longview Ambulance Service, which
Really?
is where I went to school in Texas, in Longview, Texas. Did that for a couple of years, and then I got a position offered to me at the Longview Morning Journal, Longview Daily News, as an advertising sales rep. I did that for a while. I did a little bit of sports reporting, and then I decided to go to St. Thomas University in Miami to get my graduate degree in sports administration. And I worked for the Miami Herald while I went to grad school at night.
Right. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Now, when it comes to VIP Investment LLC, which is you guys do business consulting for growth companies in emerging markets. Can you talk about what led you to form VIP Investment LLC, and also what's segment of the market you guys specialize in?
Okay, sure. So what we try to do is we have I have a few other partners, and what we try to do is focus on those companies that are potential unicorns. And our definition of a unicorn is any company that can show us how they can accomplish $1 billion in sales within 3 to 5 years, or a company that is public that can achieve $1 billion market cap. So we want companies where due diligence has been done, the company's been vetted, so we know that we're working with some good people, and we align ourselves with management, and we try to bring value to the table to these companies by providing them with access to capital, by providing them access to strategic relationships, management if they need it, advisory board members, and so forth.
Now, business consulting it's a totally different business than the brokerage business, being a broker. Did you find it interesting being able to combine your experience as a broker and now consulting business, when it comes to raising capital and so forth?
Yeah, well, as you know, Shubert, the financial markets have changed a lot over the years.
Right.
But the ability that you gain from working in the financial markets, you understand how capital formation is so important and why access to capital is so important for companies to succeed today. And that's why everyone tries to come to the U.S., because we have access to capital, and we have a financial market that is somewhat, I guess you could say, stable, or at least it's mature enough where people can go to access capital. Even in tough times, there's access to capital. Whereas in other markets, it's very difficult.
Right. Now, it's a very good point. Now, when it comes to, we have a lot of young listeners that are listening to the show that don't know too much about the stock market, about publicly traded companies. Can you give us like a broad definition as far as what it is? Obviously, you and I, we know what it is, but if you can, tell us, break it down in simple term, why it's important for a business owner or an investor to make sure that they have some skin in the game when it comes to the markets.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So if you're just starting out as an investor, or you are interested in becoming an investor in the stock market, that's a great place to start. Why is it important? Because I've noticed that billionaires today have a couple things that are commonplace amongst themselves. Number one is they like to invest where their money is liquid. So in the stock market today, you can buy any stock and you can actually sell it and have access to that money, right, in a very short period of time. Whereas if you own sometimes precious metals or real estate, it's not quite as liquid.
Right.
So I found that most billionaires, look at the most successful investor that we know of, Warren Buffett.
Right. That's the most famous one.
Yeah. So look where his money is. Now, does he own 1,000 companies? He sure could certainly buy and invest in tens of thousands of companies. He has that kind of capital. But as much money as he has that money concentrated in maybe 30 positions or less. So what does that tell you and I? That tells you and I that even though we are told in books and in theory that you want to have your assets spread out in every single asset class known to man to diversify yourself and lower your risk,
diversification.
you can do that, but to accumulate wealth, Warren Buffett says, not to the public, but he says to his people out west when he holds these private meetings, that you have to have just a couple concentrated stock positions to truly accumulate wealth. Problem is, how do you know what to buy?
Right.
Okay. And I found that billionaires today have access to two things that you and I don't have. That is, they have access to accurate and timely information. So how can we try to level that playing field for the average investor? Well, that's why I wrote this book, Smart Money. Okay. It will show you how to find where these people are putting their money today. And once you find a situation where people are putting their money that are billionaires, you probably should look at that and buy a few shares. You don't have to have $1 million to make $1 million. You have to have money, though, to invest.
Right.
But you have to start somewhere.
Yes, you do. Now, when you are advising startups, little small companies, when the topic of investment comes up, what's your approach to that? For example, let's just say you have a mom and pop and the private company, and they've seen all the trends when it comes to the stock market. What's your approach to them?
So if they are a private company and they're trying to grow their business, and for some reason they're having, difficulty either raising capital or they're having difficulty generating sales, we try to come up with solutions for them, either through relationships that we have, or we direct them to people that can help them through an advisory board position or through a potential management position. But we try to find companies, there's so many great entrepreneurs in this country, Shubert, and they all have great ideas, and sometimes they're just missing a little piece of the puzzle.
The seed money.
Sometimes it's seed money. Sometimes it's a relationship. They need to get a door open to potential business. Whatever it is, we try to facilitate that.
So you guys basically are the conduit. You connect them with
yeah. In reality, all I am is a connector. That's right.
That's good. That's good. Now, when it comes to fundraising, it's you somewhat talked about that, but what's your approach when it comes to take a company from point A to point B by raising capital, by getting that seed money? Because you and I both know that's the most difficult things to get people to write a check, in the promise that they will make more money in the future.
Yeah. So, we try to find opportunities where I would actually write a check myself, or our family would, and if we would, invest in that particular company or project, then chances are I can introduce them to people that will also write checks. There's plenty of capital out there. You just have to know where to go to find it.
Right.
You have to have those relationships, and not everybody does. But I've been blessed over the last 35 years to have some really interesting relationships that can help people. We try to, our goal is to bring value to people, bring value to relationships. It's a very different type of business model than most consultants or people in my profession currently do. So.
Right. Now, yeah, you're 100% right. I was watching yesterday an interview that Jeff Bezos gave. I think it was CNBC was the moderator, and one of the questions that they asked him, why the U.S. is so great as a country, and he stated that when you're looking for seed money, any country in the world is very hard to get, as opposed to in the U.S. people will write a check. Even just the chances of that investment succeeding is only 10%. Most entrepreneur or investors will write that check, as opposed to if you go to a foreign country like Spain or Europe, they probably won't, because the likelihood of failure is 90%. So that it makes a difference, when you say that, hey, eating your own cooking, and this is a check that you would write yourself, or your family members of yours would write it. So, when an investor sees that, that gives him some reassurance when it comes to the success for that particular idea. Now, can you share with us some success stories of small companies that you guys have helped, take to market, raise capital?
Sure. So a couple of years ago, I was introduced to a gentleman by the name of J.U., and J.U. had some interesting stories that he shared with me, and I looked into his background, and we became friends over the years. And he brought a company to my attention that I was able to bring some value to, a company called Nano Nuclear Energy, which we eventually brought public this year on May 8th. We brought it public at $4 a share. The stock traded as high as $39 in July.
Wow.
It pulled back to $6 in August, and now it's back up to, I think it's $25, $26 today.
These are huge swings.
Yes. So, like I said, the stock market works like a roller coaster. So, it's tough when you're profitable and all of a sudden the stock goes down for some reason, whether it's the company has a fundamental issue or it's driven down by market forces that are typically unexplainable, which, is short selling,
Right.
or naked short selling. And this naked shorting, which has been allowed to occur in this country, is illegal, and it has destroyed many, many, many companies, not to mention thousands or millions of investors who have lost money because of that. But fortunately, we're going to have a change at the SEC.
Yeah,
And
a lot of
I
people
think-
are excited about that.
I think you might see that naked short selling come to an end.
Yeah, it's
It destroyed the entire Canadian securities markets. You look at valuations in Canada, in whatever exchange you want to look at, whether it's the Vancouver, Calgary, or Toronto, they've all been destroyed because of naked short selling. And there are multi hundreds of billions of dollars of lawsuits against the regulators for allowing that naked short selling to occur. Korea just came out with a law that prohibits all naked short selling. And if you get caught, you're fined, followed by jail. If we had that in this country, Shubert, the small cap market would be phenomenal. You'd see, I mean, it'd be a great market.
I wouldn't hold my breath on that. I don't think we're ever gonna have something like that in the U.S. because of our laws and Constitution and how American citizens being protected. However, I'm not surprised to hear that happen in South Korea. I mean, I heard they declared martial law. I think in the beginning of this week, and then it was reversed by the legislature short after that. So that's the beauty of living in the U.S. It's a free country, and people tend to take advantage of the system sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
What would you say is the biggest misconception entrepreneur have when it comes to fundraising or taking the company public?
So, every entrepreneur has a goal of obviously making money and making the enterprise successful. Question is it the best thing to go public? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's better to stay private. But sometimes people, need access to capital on a continuous basis, and therefore going public will be the best opportunity and the right situation for them to do. But everyone's different, and the idea of starting a business today is so great in this country because I think you're going to see a lot less business rules and regulations.
2025.
Yes, going forward,
Right.
which will really benefit all of us as consumers and residents and entrepreneurs. So I think it's a great time to be an entrepreneur. It's a great time to think about a new business or a new venture that you've always wanted to do. Now's the time.
Now, if somebody's on the sideline listening or watching this on YouTube, it's get off the bench, get in the game. That's what you're saying, right?
Get in the game, right? The time is now, right? I mean, look, people say to me, "Oh, I can't stand the person who just won the presidential election."
Right.
And I say, "Well, I'm sorry, but you know what? Everyone's got an opinion,
Right.
and it doesn't matter what opinions we have. What matters is what the market says."
Right.
Okay. And when President Trump, and I know it sounds like I'm shooting his horn here, but blowing his horn, but the facts are the facts. So in 2016, when he became president, the Dow Jones was standing around 17,000. In 4 years, the Dow Jones hit almost 34,000. In 4 years, it almost doubled,
Right.
practically doubled. It has never happened like that ever in our lifetime in 4 years. You never heard anywhere in the press about how the fact that the market took off and did as well as it did. Why is the market so important? The stock market's so important because it reflects every single thought and idea in the universe. That's why it's important. That's why it matters. That's why it's so important to pay attention to what the market is telling us today.
Very good.
Right? I mean, what has the stock market done, and Bitcoin and so forth, since he won the election? It's amazing to me. That tells me the stock market's going higher. That tells me Bitcoin and cryptos are going higher. That means that I, as a citizen and as a potential investor, need to be invested in those.
Did you see Bitcoin hit 100,000 yesterday for the first time?
Yep.
And he's not even in office yet. So we'll see what happens when he gets into January 20 arrive.
20th.
Yeah. That's
It's
an exciting
times
day.
for us. And people that are listening, you've got to be proactive. Get yourself in the game, like Shubert says. Get invested. Get your business off the ground.
Get off the
Now's
bench.
the time.
Now, let's talk about corporate governance, board of directors. That's one of the things that you guys help your clients with. Can you talk about the process? How does that like when you work with a company that's looking to establish a board of directors and also the responsibilities?
Yeah. So I'll give an example. So with nano nuclear energy, we were helpful in bringing an advisory board member. The former governor of New Mexico, Bill Richardson, joined their advisory board, but unfortunately he passed away unexpectedly last September. So we have reached out to another former governor from Texas who has agreed to come on as an advisory board member, which should be announced shortly. So on the governance side, it's very important that you have rules and policies in place so that the company's finances are and procedures and practices are followed and adhered to. In other words, you have to have principles in place that all company management must follow. In other words, if I write you a check, Shubert, and you're the president of XYZ Corporation, I want to know that those funds are being stewarded correctly, that they're being used properly
Right.
as you have stated. You have to have governance. You have to have checks and balances, right? So it's very important for companies to have a corporate governance as well as, obviously financial, a CFO and a CEO and a president and chairman and COO and so forth. But governance is very important because when you are an investor in a company, you want to make sure that your money is being used properly and correctly.
Now, what advice would you give to a client when it comes to corporate governance and also to financial growth for the company, growth strategy to grow the business?
The advice that I would give is that you want to get that in place from day one, because the longer you wait, the harder it will get, because you want to start out the right way from day one.
From having the
board. You want to do
board.
everything right from day one. You don't want to get 6 months down the road and all of a sudden, oh, geez, I forgot to do this, or I didn't do this, or I wish I had done this, or I wish I had done this.
Right.
If you have everything done and set up correctly, you've got a roadmap to follow, and everyone executes, and you can accomplish, your goals and objectives in a timely fashion and done the right way. That's what you want.
Very good. Very good. Now, you somewhat alluded about that previously, but let me ask you this: how do you feel about the current market situation, and also for 2025? I mean, you mentioned when President Trump was in office, 2016, how the Dow skyrocketed. How do you feel now, and also 2025 in general? Nothing specific, but just in general, because I don't want anybody to make any decision based on what you said. So just let's keep it general.
Yeah. So the market's done well, the past 4 years as well. Like the Dow Jones has gone from 33,000 to 42,000 under President Biden. So it's done well the last 4 years. But again, what really drives the market is liquidity from the Federal Reserve. So you want to watch what the Federal Reserve does. So they've talked about lowering interest rates. Well, what does that do? Well, that lowers the cost of capital for businesses. That's very, very, very important and very good for economic growth. So going forward, I think the opportunity now to start a new business or to raise capital or to grow your business over the next 3 or 4 years is fantastic. It's phenomenal. Why? You've got an accommodating Fed. You've got new management coming into the White House that's very pro-business. Granted, he's not a politician. I get that. He's not an attorney by trade. Okay, like most politicians, nothing wrong with that. But he's a businessman. He gets it. He knows what it takes to make money. He knows, and he wants to put America first. Well, that means that you're going to see less business regulation. You're going to see more proactive, more pro-growth business in this country develop. And if you can lower the cost of doing business, like, for example, oil is so important. Oil is used in almost every sector of our economy. You lower just the cost of oil, cost of gas, it brings the costs of everything down. That's what will bring down inflation. People don't understand. It's one major commodity. It's the most volatile commodity in the world. That's oil. If the price of oil comes down, inflation comes down. Price of oil goes up, inflation goes up. Why is that? Because oil is used in almost every part of our economy.
Yeah, right? Energy. You need energy for whatever you do. Now, how does that influence decision making for small business when it comes to projections? Let's just say, for example, you spoke about oil. What about AI? How does these things play a role in projections and forecast for a small business?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Schubert. So artificial intelligence is going to change the way we all, live. And a lot of it is going to be fantastic. And a lot of it is going to really benefit us as consumers, as citizens, as business people. Will become more efficient. And it should drive down costs of doing business. But it should also increase the ability for a business to grow faster if they have access to artificial intelligence, right? It'll speed up things.
And a lot of CEOs think that, and a lot of studies have shown too, that they can be so much more productive. Because a lot of people are scared of AI. They think the robots are taking over. You can't turn on the TV or then the radio station without hearing the word AI. It's almost everywhere. Chat GPT, the whole nine yard. How do you feel about that? I mean, do you feel like people have a good reason to be scared, or do you think that they're overreacting to the fact that we are in a new era? Because we go through the cycles. We had the agricultural cycle, you had the technology cycles in the 70s, you have the information cycles in the 2000s. Now it's AI. How do you feel about that? Do you feel that there's reason for concern?
Well, if AI is in the wrong hands, yeah, there's cause for concern. But they're trying to put in rules and regulations, which I think will really help calm fears that people have. But if you go back 20 years ago or 25 years ago, right before the internet, when the internet was coming on, people said, "Oh no, with the internet coming, no one's going to shop in the malls anymore." Well, I was just in our local mall, and it was packed. So people still shop. They like to shop.
That's a very
They
good
like to
point.
physically touch goods before they buy.
Yeah.
Right. So, did the internet change things? Sure, it did. But and will AI change? Of course, it will change. But we'll change with it, and we'll become more comfortable once we understand it better and understand the rules that are behind the governance for artificial intelligence. In other words, I'll give an example. So, healthcare is going to forever change. Artificial intelligence is now going to speed up the process of discovering molecules that have the ability to not just treat, but cure disease. That is so phenomenal to think that they're going to be able to cure 99% of all known diseases within the next 3 to 5 years. That's amazing to me.
And also, they say it's cheaper too, because instead of running all those trials, all those studies, you can fast forward things a lot faster and more accurately as well.
Well, that goes to your point. So AI is going to make us all more efficient, more productive. It's fantastic for business, right? That's why I say now is the time. If you're thinking about starting a new business, now's the time.
It's now or never, right?
I mean, you're not going to get a better time in your life. Time is now, right? Time is of the essence. Now is the time to act.
Now, let's talk about VIP Investment as a firm, as a consulting firm. What sets you guys apart from other consulting firm out there?
Yeah, that's an easy question for me. So I've been doing this long enough to know the players out there, and there's a lot of good people out there doing the same thing we're doing. What sets us apart is the fact that we truly not only care about the businesses that we work with, but we're on the same page with management so that we go above and beyond for companies. Even if our consultant agreement has ended, we're still out there working for them, still coming up with ideas, still coming up with potential strategic relationships that we'll recommend or connect with because we care about people that we work with. If you don't love what you're doing, you're not going to care about who you're doing business with.
Right.
We love what we're doing and we care about the people that we work with. And that's relationships in life are everything. They really
Right.
are. So you have to understand that relationships are so important today that you want to do the right thing by people. And as you know, what goes around comes around.
All right.
But by doing the right thing, that's where true success comes from.
Can you share with us an example of where when you guys started working with a small startups and you take them from point A to point B and how you were able to help them not only grow but also overcome some of the major challenges that the business will have in it?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example of a company that we're currently working with, but I started working with them 4 years ago and got paid, 4 years ago. It's a cybersecurity company. They've been struggling for the last, 3.5 years. And I realized that the market for cybersecurity is still strong and valuations in the marketplace are still very strong. You look at Palo Alto Networks or CrowdStrike, they're trading at huge multiples even today. So I thought, why don't I look to try to bring some value to this cybersecurity company? Why? Because not only have I got money invested, but I've got a lot of friends and family that put money in that still aren't liquid. So we brought 2 acquisitions to the company that are ongoing as we speak. And once they're complete, we introduced the company to a banker next year that is looking at bringing them public through the initial public offering phase. So that's an example, Shubert. Sometimes management needs a little help along the way
Right.
because there's so many pressures that they're under and they're, focused on here or here or here. And, sometimes they need just a little push, a little hand.
Right.
So,
Now, for a small business looking to explore, stock market investing, not taking the company public, but also start taking chips off the table and putting into the market, let that piece of investment work for them. What actionable advice would you have for those folks?
well, first of all, you can work with a registered investment advisor or, someone that you trust. That's always a good idea. But you can also do a lot of the research on your own. With the advent of artificial intelligence now, you have the ability to access information so quickly today that you didn't have before. And I would recommend that you just pick up a copy of
Smart
this
money.
book. Yep. Pick it up, understand how the markets work, but more importantly, understand how to get accurate and timely information so you know whether or not you want to invest in precious metals, commodities, Bitcoin, or what stocks you want to buy. How do you know what to buy? By following the big money. In other words, not just the big money, but the smart money. Now, there's big money in mutual funds, but you'll never meet anyone who has made $1 billion investing in mutual funds. Why? Because they don't exist. But you will meet people who have made billions by being an investor in the stock market, like Bill Gates, like Warren Buffett, like Leon Cooperman, right? And the list goes on and on and on. So that's where I would recommend people start slow, but start. You see what the market's doing. You see what the stock market's telling you. It wants to go higher. All right. So when you find a good company that you see a lot of insider buying or smart money being invested, buy a few shares. If it pulls back, buy some more.
And I'm guessing you have all the how the hard tools in the book, Smart Money. So people better go to Amazon and get that book. Now, when it comes to success, it can have different definitions. It all depends on who you're talking to. What does success mean to you, Bill?
That's a good question too. It changed over the years. I thought success when I was young was, making $1 million. I've learned over the years through a lot of experiences that success truly comes from doing the right thing and helping people succeed. That's where I derive the greatest benefit from when I see people succeed through a relationship or through some type of activity that we have helped them with. In other words, to succeed today, everyone has a different definition, Shubert. Okay?
Right.
As you know. But my definition of success comes from helping people. All right, because if you help people today to get to where they want to get to, that just gives me, I don't know, a feeling that I can't describe. I just love it. I love helping people.
It's
And
interesting you mentioned that. On that interview, I told you about that Jeff Bezos was on CNBC, and he stated that one thing he'd love to see is a report or a survey, whereas wherever has become very very successful, personally or professionally, he wants to see how much wealth that person have created for other people. And he given an example of Amazon market cap, how much Amazon is worth, and he's like, well, if you take my shares of Amazon worth about 10%, maybe $200 billion, and he's like, we created close to $3.2 trillion. I mean, the number might be off, but the point is, it's like he created trillions of dollars of wealth for other people, meaning that helping those other people become successful. That's exactly what you're saying here.
that's interesting.
Yeah. Now, what would you say is the best piece of advice you've received from a mentor that helps shape you when it comes to business consulting and who you are today?
I've got a number of really good mentors that have helped me, and that advice that they gave me was very helpful to me. And that is, number one, do what you can to help people. In other words, develop relationships, build them, strengthen them, and whatever you do, make sure you're honest and do the right thing for people.
Do you have a philosophy that you follow? Is that something that you apply with your business consulting clients?
Absolutely. The philosophy is real simple. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We all know the golden rule, but it seems like a lot of people don't sometimes stick to that rule. But it's important that we do business the right way and that we treat people the way we want to be treated, with respect, with dignity, with honesty, and compassion.
Yeah, that's the golden rule. If you don't want to be treated that way, do not treat somebody else the same way. Anything exciting that you have coming up for 2025? Any big projects?
Yeah, so we're involved in a private company called Genesis Holdings, and Genesis is involved in bringing trade from Africa into the U.S. So we currently own 51% of the U.S. Africa trade desk, and I think we're going to see a lot more business coming to the U.S. from Africa in terms of, I'll give you an example. So textiles, Levi's jeans are now being made in Africa, no more in Asia.
Wow.
Polo Ralph Lauren is moving their facilities from Asia to Africa. Macy's. So I think we're going to see that trend continue. And like, for example, if you go to Costco this winter, you'll be buying our grapes coming from Africa. Same with Walmart and same with Kroger. So we're going to see a lot more trade coming from Africa, especially organic produce, as well as precious metals and minerals and textiles from Africa, because of the fact that China has become so aggressive around the world, especially in South America. They're buying up, as you know, a lot of resources. They're buying up a lot of produce from South America, which means the need for replacing that will come from us from Africa. So it's really exciting next year is going to be for us.
Now, what about tariffs? Some people would say, okay, well, if the product's going to come from Africa or wherever else, they might get hit with tariff because some people are scared of that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So fortunately, we have an agreement in place with Africa. We will not have any tariffs until the end of 2025. So all next year, our produce and goods and so forth that we will be bringing in from Africa are coming in at a very competitive advantage, I guess you'd say,
Right.
without those tariffs. Mm-hmm.
Now, one more thing I want to talk to you about is VIP meetings. When you're thinking about bringing a company in to present to potential investors, are there any specific things you guys look at before you say, okay, well, you can come in and talk to our investors?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So VIP meetings puts on investor meetings in Eastern Canada, New York, Philadelphia, California, and up and down the East Coast of Florida, from Jacksonville all the way down to Miami. And we look for companies that have the potential to become a unicorn. Number one, they have to be investable, or they are a company that we have featured in the past that we've had a relationship with over the years, where people have invested and they want to get an update. So we'll have companies that have been here 5 years ago that still come today. They'll come once a year or twice a year to give, a shareholder update. But for the most part, all of our new companies, again, they have to be potential unicorns. They have to be investable, and they have to have the potential to really impact not only our net worth, but the people that invest. They have to have that upside potential as well.
Very well said. Well, Bill, wow, what an awesome conversation it's been. Now, for folks listening, if they want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
The best way is through LinkedIn. Name is William Baumner. LinkedIn, that's the best way to reach out to us. We try to stay under the radar. We try to stay fairly quiet. How do we get our business? Our business all comes from referrals. We don't advertise. We never have advertised. We don't have a website. We do everything just through friends, and that's how we get our business.
Very well said, Bill. It was a pleasure to have you. And folks, if you enjoyed this conversation, if you enjoy the content, please subscribe, share it with somebody else that can benefit. And until next time, you've been listening to the Smart Business Owner Podcast. See you in the next episode.